Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Aldas and today I'm going to be talking about Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Now in Formula 1, the two big rumours that circle the paddock pretty much every single 20 minutes is that Fernando Alonso will eventually and somehow return back to Formula 1 with Red Bull or McLaren or some other team, and that Lewis Hamilton will join Ferrari at the end of his career. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I don't think I've ever really discussed Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, despite it being big news. Of course, you know, the biggest team in Formula 1 and the biggest driver in Formula 1. It almost seems an eventuality. And of course, this is why this rumor has been going around for such a long time. And this has been discussed, I'm pretty sure, on every single Formula 1 channel that covers Formula 1. So I thought this would be a good time to give my little 2 cents on it. And then at the end of the video, guys, I am going to put up a straw poll in the top right-hand corner of your screens because I want to know what is the realistic chance will Lewis Hamilton go to Ferrari before the end of his career. Anyway guys, now don't forget, if you do enjoy the content on my channel and want to see more, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above. But guys, let's get into it. So, Lewis Hamilton is actually coming towards the end of his 7th season with the team. It's quite phenomenal actually. I mean, all the way back in 2013, he was winning races with the team as they were making their rise, and in the early hybrid era, well, we all know how that went. It was complete Mercedes domination, and of course now they're on their way to their 6th consecutive Constructors and Drivers' Championship double. So the team is doing phenomenal bits, despite the fact that Ferrari in the last 2 years, I still maintain in 2017 and 2018 and in 2019, have had the car to win the title, but there's been issues, driver error, team error, and things just not coming together, as we've seen so many times in 2019 as well. And as actually we saw in last race in Russia, Ferrari at the moment just aren't able to beat the team. And I'm not talking about Lewis Hamilton or even the car, I'm talking about the team, the people that you don't really see as much. Ferrari just don't have the same winning capabilities and the same management that Mercedes seem to have, which is what has been able to win them these past 2 championships with Lewis Hamilton. You know, people always just clamber to the fact that Lewis has the best car, but I always will maintain in 2017, in 2018, and this year as well, Mercedes have not, I repeat, have not had the out-and-out fastest car, not like they did in 2014, 15, and 16. That was a completely different ball game. And this is in fact something I talked about in a video about Ferrari just after the Monaco Grand Prix, where I did say Ferrari have had the car this season to win. There's no doubt about it, and it was Mercedes' killer instinct and their team management and their 2 drivers, which of course at the end of the day, Lewis Hamilton, the really big driver in Mercedes, he's the one that always pulls through with the championships because he is just the best driver in Formula 1. There's not really much more I can say about Lewis. We already know about him, and of course that is why he is such hot property in Formula 1, and no doubt why Ferrari definitely keep an eye on him. Now, as I said, Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari has been a long-going rumour in Formula 1, but Ferrari is just one of those teams that is so special. It just draws drivers in all the time, and it is an unbelievable honour to drive for the Scuderia. And incredibly, actually, a lot of people forget is that the people that are most successful in Formula 1, Michael Schumacher, Fangio, of course, Prost, and Sebastian Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton, 4 of those drivers have driven for Ferrari, except for Lewis Hamilton. It's no coincidence that the biggest team in Formula 1 has attracted the most successful drivers in the sport as well, with of course Fangio and Schumacher winning titles for Ferrari, of course with Fangio in 1956, and with Michael Schumacher famously 5 in a row from 2000 to 2004. So it's quite strange that the only other guy who is unbelievably successful in Formula 1 and perhaps will go on to be the greatest in Formula 1 history has not driven for Ferrari yet. Now, moving away from the history and the prestige of Ferrari, let's actually talk about Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Would he go to Ferrari? Well, there's certainly a lot of upside both on track and off track. We're talking more about commercially, but talking about on track and the really important business of racing, Ferrari definitely have been on the up. That's absolutely no doubt. I mean, even the past few races we've seen, Ferrari have arguably the best car, and if only they were able to deliver this pace at the start of the season like we were hoping that they would, we would have had a much closer championship, but sadly they weren't able to through mistakes and driver errors and the fact that their car development just wasn't quite up to par. Nevertheless though, the signs are good for Ferrari. They do seem to be back, and hopefully they'll be able to next year mount a title challenge that actually lasts the entire season, not just turn up late to the party as they usually do, or early to the party as they did in 2017 and 2018 and then just tail off. And that's the really big thing for Ferrari. If Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes and going to another team like Ferrari was a possibility, they need to be there showing him that they actually actually are improving and they are actually capable of winning titles against Mercedes, because that's the really important thing. Mercedes and the people around the team, they just have this mentality of winning and they are so consistent. And the really scary thing, and I don't want to give anyone nightmares, but we're expecting these 2021 regulations to be so amazing and to bring the grid closer together, but trust me on this one, Mercedes are an absolutely unbelievable outfit. They are, in my opinion, the best team that we've ever seen in Formula 1. In terms of consistency, it's almost kind of scary and unbelievable how often they produce an amazing car. And since 2014, they've always been on top of their game, not just in car development, but in management and their drivers, the level of their drivers. And that is perhaps what Ferrari has been missing. They've been missing a consistent and quick driver. Charles Leclerc is a very big, is a very big star at Ferrari, and perhaps one of the big reasons why I don't think Lewis Hamilton will go to Ferrari, because he could be the guy that will win them championships. You know, Sebastian Vettel, he had his chance, but he just wasn't able to beat Lewis Hamilton, and it was, of course, through some mistakes, but also through the fact that the team just did not know how to 100% put their backing behind him. There were sometimes ridiculous team orders with Raikkonen that didn't quite make sense or that didn't fully favour Sebastian Vettel, so the team, I'm not sure, is fully capable of winning championships yet, but it is something that Binotto hopefully is instilling into the culture of Ferrari now, and with Charles Leclerc, I think he will be the next Ferrari world champion. But does that mean Lewis Hamilton really wants to move to that team and again fight against a young gun when there is a very secure and very safe environment in Mercedes that he knows is consistent and that he knows will deliver championships in the future? I mean, that's the really big question for him. Now, having said all that, of course, the car is the number one thing. They have to prove to Lewis Hamilton that they can actually beat Mercedes and that they can produce a good car consistently. That's something that, in my opinion, Ferrari have actually failed at over the past few years. So that would be the number one thing, obviously. Then they have to get past the fact that Charles Leclerc is a rising star at Ferrari. And do they really want a driver battle internally with Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc? That's got to be a big headache for them. But I still think that if Lewis Hamilton became available, there's no doubt that Ferrari would definitely make an offer for him. And secondly, I mean, the really other big upside for Lewis Hamilton is that as a brand, he's a Formula 1 megastar in the world. We know that he's the most famous Formula 1 driver, there's just no doubt about that. And of course, as a brand, the Lewis Hamilton brand, him and Ferrari, I think, is of course a match made in heaven. And of course, personally, I do have to say that the possibility of Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari has been a dream. I think it is just, it's almost a rite of passage for every single Formula 1 world champion, or certainly every single Formula 1 great, to go through the biggest and the best team in Formula 1, which is Ferrari. But from a brand point of view, again, it's something that I think is very attractive to Lewis Hamilton. He's a big fan of Ferrari, of course, the road cars many times, and some of the articles that come out are absolute jokes. Like, literally, you see Lewis Hamilton posing next to one of his, like, LaFerraris or something, and then immediately there's, like, an article like, oh my god, he's signing for Ferrari. So that is the sort of draw that, I mean, this rumour has, and it's clear that he has an affection for the brand, and who doesn't? I mean, when you can afford those cars, it must be very special. So he definitely has a love for Ferrari, the brand, but the really big thing is, does he have love for Ferrari, the Formula 1 team, more than he has for Mercedes, the Formula 1 team, which he has been with technically since he was 13 years old? This is something that is immense to Lewis Hamilton, and it's something that a lot of people kind of joke about when he says, you know, I value loyalty, and he really does say that all the time, and it's because he really does mean it. I mean, Mercedes has given him every single world title that he has in terms of powertrains. He had, of course, McLaren. They were partnered up with Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton's first world title, and what they've been able to give him, and actually what he's been able to give to them, let's not forget how, you know, how much work Lewis Hamilton has put into the team. It's the sort of relationship that I don't think Lewis Hamilton really wants to leave. As much as he's affectionate for Ferrari, the brand, and as much as I think he does want to go to Ferrari, he's done too much at Mercedes, and it's his family now. There's no one that can come into that team and replace Lewis Hamilton. He is Mercedes, and Mercedes are Lewis Hamilton. It's just how it is, and it really does remind me of the same kind of team driver dynamic that Michael Schumacher had with Ferrari. He also built up that team from kind of the top of the midfield and had that ridiculously bad car. If you guys watch my rise and fall of Ferrari, I talked about that 1996 car that Schumacher somehow won some races in and finally built the team back up to where it could win championships. And Lewis Hamilton kind of did the same with the help of Nico Rosberg, Niki Lauda, Toto Wolff, and the entire Mercedes team. So it's a very similar dynamic, and just how Michael kind of ended his first career, as we know, at the team that he built up, at his family, I think Lewis Hamilton will do the exact same thing and end his career with Mercedes. So despite all of those plus points, despite the fact that Lewis Hamilton as a brand and Ferrari would just be absolutely incredible for him, and the fact that Ferrari are on the rise in terms of their car and hopefully eventually will be able to put the pieces together internally, I don't think Lewis Hamilton needs Ferrari, and I think they actually need Lewis Hamilton more than he needs them, if that kind of makes sense. And another very big reason why there is just no way, in my opinion, why he will move to Ferrari is because Mercedes have clearly, with the re-signing of Valtteri Bottas or the extension of his contract and putting aside a young talent like Esteban Ocon, they have now backed Lewis Hamilton to stay at that team for the next few years and keep continuing winning races and winning championships alongside Valtteri Bottas. And the reason why I say that is it kind of makes sense just logically if you think about it. The reason why they would have had Esteban Ocon in that car is because they would have wanted to train him up for the next few years to get comfortable in the team and then be ready to win championships if Lewis left in 2021 and 2022. But the reason they didn't sign him is because their driver dynamic now just makes so much sense. And if Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff had a conversation and Lewis indicated that he will sign for 2021 and beyond, then clearly that is why they retained their driver lineup, because it just works for the team. The continuity is also a very powerful thing that a lot of people underestimate. And that is why I think Lewis Hamilton will remain in Formula 1 beyond 2020. And that is why I think he will remain in Mercedes and end his career at the same time. Despite all of the amazing things that Ferrari can give him, like a good car, a team that is building up maybe towards winning championships in the future, hopefully very, very soon, and putting a proper challenge in, and all the commercial benefits that Lewis Hamilton will get from being at Ferrari and the exposure of the brand, I still think that he will remain with Mercedes because he is loyal to that team. They have given so much to him, and loyalty for him means more than money and Ferrari. Well guys, there you go. That is my video on Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Now, as I've said, as much as I'd love to see Lewis Hamilton in red as a Formula 1 legend going to Ferrari, it just kind of makes sense because all the other Formula 1 legends have been there. I don't think he wants to go, and I don't think he needs to go. I think Ferrari would want him more than he wants them, and that's why, in my opinion, it won't happen. But guys, as I said at the start of the video, I've got a question for you. At the top right-hand corner of your screens will be a poll, and I want to know, and really, realistically, do you guys think Lewis Hamilton, with all of the factors that I've said, with, you know, putting forward my case, do you think he will end up at Ferrari at some point in his career, obviously towards probably the end of his career, whenever that is? Let me know what you guys think in the top right hand corner of the screen, and also don't forget to let me know what you guys think of this video and your opinions on Lewis Hamilton and what I've said. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above, and guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.